Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. It's Lucas, you know, Riley, and I got a question for you, and one question only. I'll make it simple. Are you watching the Ring Fanatics podcast? Not the wrestling fanatics, not the basketball fanatics, not the football fanatics, not the fanatics, but the Ring Fanatics podcast. Because if you're not, you better go do so. Okay? Okay.
The Ring Fanatics Podcast, episode number 41. I am Nick, your host. And today, before we even get to the guest, today, before anything, continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, and follow us on all of our platforms at The Ring Fanatics on every platform. Continue to support us in every way. Give this video a like and a comment, and continue to support this podcast. Today is a very special episode because, as I've been promoting all week, we have a special guest here. He is an up-and-coming wrestler, a young up-and-coming wrestler. He is a California native. Please welcome Lucas Riley. How are you, man?
What's up? What's going on, dude? Chilling. Big chilling.
Glad to hear. Thank you for coming on again. So I really appreciate you coming
Of course.
on.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So as I told you before we started, I have a couple of questions. And at the end, I'll just ask you the few questions that fans had submitted to us through social media.
Sounds good.
So let's get right into it. I know everybody who is either a wrestler or a wrestling fan has their own story into how they got introduced to the sport. So what was kind of your story into how you got into how you were first introduced to the sport of professional wrestling?
For me, it was let me mute this very quick. Sorry. For me, it was just through school. It was around third grade, I would assume. Yeah, about third grade. I went into school one day, and my friends, they all had these magazines. They were all WWE magazines, and they were just going through them and like talking about like Monday Night Raw and all that stuff. And I had no idea. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I was just trying to fit in. Like that's all I was trying to do, really. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So later on that night, it was Friday, which was Friday Night SmackDown.
Yeah.
So that night, I tuned into Friday Night SmackDown, and it was the night where it was Batista versus Undertaker in a steel cage for the
great
World
first
Heavyweight
introduction to
Championship.
WWE.
and then Edge cashed in, and yeah, that was my first show I ever watched, and ever since then I was hooked. And later that night, I was also scared to go to sleep because of me seeing the Undertaker and the Boogeyman.
Yeah, same here. Because Undertaker was one of the literally the first person I've watched on television from WWE.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like
around what era?
It was for me. I started kind of because you're 22 years of age, right? You're 22 years old. Same here. I'm also 22. So I started around like 2008ish. So the first memory that I have was when it was SummerSlam 08, when Undertaker versus Edge in Hell in a Cell, when he got thrown through the ring.
Yeah, it was around the same time period. Yeah.
That was what got me into it because, of course, the Undertaker someone getting thrown into the ring and fire coming out. Obviously, that's cool. At a young age, you think that's like the greatest thing you've ever seen. So, since from what I researched, entering 5 years now into your professional wrestling career, at what point in your life did you like realize that wrestling was kind of the career that you wanted to get into for forever? Kind of.
For the longest time, I always said that I didn't want to be a wrestler. I was always scared of getting hurt. That was my thing, like growing up, like as a kid. And as you know, wrestling, like getting hurt, it's a part of it. Getting injured, it's a part of wrestling. So I did not want to do that. I was like, I'm just gonna be a fan forever, whatever. But around when I was in middle school ish, I started a YouTube channel, and it was just wrestling based. I would talk about wrestling toys, wrestling merchandise, reviews, all that stuff. I would cover it, and with that, there was also obviously backyard wrestling. like those that are YouTube backyard federations, and I would watch that. And then I was like, you know what, this is something I would want to take part of. So me and a couple of my friends, we started like backyard wrestling. And from there, I was like, you know what, it would be cool if we actually wrestled in a ring. So then I tried contacting Santino Bros to try to wrestle in a ring. Then I just ended up like, you know what, like this is something that I would be down to do. Like this is fun. Like I enjoyed wrestling, and I contacted Santino Bros and we did a private session. And from there, I just started my training, and it just snowballed from there. And yeah, that's my story. There wasn't like one specific moment where it was like, I need to do this. It was just kind of like it just happened naturally, honestly.
Because I was also going to ask, like, what was the whole process like when it came to training? Like how did you, like, I know you said you wrestled with Santino Bros Wrestling and Robbie Phoenix was your trainer. Like,
Yeah.
what was the point? Like, what was the whole process like when it came to finding that place? Was it like,
For me, it was really just a Google search. I did have a flyer from them from like going to the Staples Center and going to Monday Night Raw, stuff like that, and they would hand out flyers. I did have that, so I was aware of them. And then I just looked up professional wrestling schools in Los Angeles, and that's what comes up, Santino Bros Wrestling Academy. And I remember I did that like around like 15, 14-ish, and on their website it said 16 and older. So I was like, damn, okay, I can't do this yet. And then I waited until I was 16 years old, literally like a week before I turned 16. I called and I was like wondering if I could sign up. And I checked the website, and they changed it to 18 and older.
oh man,
So I was like, oh hell no. Nah. So I just kept calling and calling, not knowing I'm talking to the same person. I thought Santino Bros was like this big, I don't know, like office, and like, you know, people, like different people are going to be
Yeah.
picking up it, but no, I was talking to the same person, and I'm sure I was just like, annoying her. But I I was like, hey, I really want to do this. So like we do like at first I just wanted to rent the ring and just try it on my own. I thought I could do it. I don't know why. And they suggested a private session with Robbie Phoenix. And me and my friend went to Santino Bros for a private session, and it was with Robbie Phoenix and Brody King. And we did the private session. I loved it. It seemed like everything I did, like I kind of got the hang of it fairly easy. Obviously, the stuff that we're doing was like the basics, but I loved it. And then I asked for another private session. We did it. And then after those two private sessions, they were like, you know what? Okay, like you can try to do the class. And I did the class, and there was 32 people, and then only two are now debuted, which is me and Alonso Alvarez. And yeah, that was my training experience. That's how I became a Santino Bro. I also did one private session, or not a private session. I did one training session with EWF, Empire Wrestling Federation, uh, with my friend, because well, hold on, my apologies. Hold on.
fine, that's fine.
All right, are we good?
Yeah,
Cool.
we good.
There was me and my friend, we both wanted to train. He was going to train at EWF, and I was going to train at Santino Bros. So I did one of each, but obviously I stuck with Santino Bros.
How was Robbie as a trainer? Did you?
He was great. Like he really like he's really patient when he needed to be, and then he really got under you when like you were kind of like you're just missing one thing, and it kind of like he would put that fire underneath you when it needed to be, and then he was patient when he needed to be. Yeah, he's awesome. He it was really easy to pick it up learning from Robbie for sure.
What is like one big piece of advice that he has given you that you kind of stick with till today, that you still think about, like back in your mind, type of thing?
You know, the first thing that comes to mind, like there's a lot, but the first thing that comes to mind, and it's not even really like a Robbie thing. It's like everyone kind of implements this, where it's like if you think you're going too slow it down. That's just something that I always try to think of, because a big thing in wrestling is obviously the timing, and that's something that's really hard for a lot of people to kind of pick up. So that's something I always try to think of when I'm wrestling. Um, Even though I am like Lucas Riley, I'm really fast, quick, agile kind of guy. I just need to know like when to pick it up and when to slow it down. And yeah, that's just the first thing that came to mind right now.
Yeah. How long did you do the backyard training, the backyard wrestling for before you went into actual training?
Um, Honestly, not much. If anything, maybe a year. But I
That
was
was just like
always
that was
wrestling
like a thing
around.
that you
Like,
kind of did with, yeah, like I was gonna say messing around with your friends
yeah,
and like kind of.
exactly. And we had YouTube channels, so we're like, might as well
Yeah.
put it on YouTube. But yeah, it wasn't very long. But before that, I was always wrestling around. Like, even at a young age, when I was like 10-ish, 11, I started my own like little company called, it was ECW, but it was Extreme Cousin Wrestling, because it was just me and my cousins just
Okay.
wrestling around. And yeah, it was I was always wrestling some way somehow.
Did they still wrestle? Did they
But
get into
yeah,
wrestling too, or was it just you?
no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
No, it was just me. Yeah. I was the one that was kind of pushing it. I was the one like, hey, let's do this, let's
Yeah.
do this. And yeah.
Was there any wrestler in particular that you grew up watching that kind of like, I could say, like influenced your career kind of a way, and like in terms of like how they influenced you and how they affected your like in-ring ability, so to speak?
Yeah. I don't think there's gonna be one specifically. Growing up, Edge was someone that was really entertaining to me, even though at that time I hated Edge. Like,
Oh yeah.
I just loved to watch him lose. I loved to boo him really. Um, so like Edge is someone that like he's my favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
And so growing up, Edge for sure. But then when I was like around maybe like 14, 15, is when I started to discover independent wrestling, more specifically PWG, where I then saw like the Young Bucks,
Bucks.
uh, Ricochet, Zack Sabre Jr., Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, like all those guys, like Adam Cole. It really like that's I really wanted to start wrestling, to be honest. I guess that would be the point in time when I then was like, hey, yeah, let's start backyard wrestling. Let's start. Look at
Yeah.
this. Look at this. So I wanted to try to like recreate that, and I just loved it. And from there, I guess that kind of era of wrestling kind of really inspired me to start wrestling. Yeah.
So you also go by your nickname is the Gravity Renegade? Is that what you
Yeah.
go by?
Yeah.
What was kind of like the origins of getting that name into into your wrestling career?
I The way I came up with that name, to be honest, I really love music. I'm always listening to music. Before we went on, I was listening to music. I'm always listening to different types of music, and uh, there there's this band, well-known band, Rage Against the Machine, and I was listening to this song they have. It's called Renegades of Funk, and I was just listening to it, and I was like Renegade, like that's pretty cool. That was before
Yeah.
like TikTok kind of blew
Yeah.
up, and they had that Renegade song, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And like I was like, I just always liked that word, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I could be the Renegade, or like I'm more like a aerial type wrestler, high flyer. So I was like, the Gravity Renegade sounds pretty cool. Like that's a pretty solid name. And then I was making a t-shirt. I was doing a t-shirt design, my first ever t-shirt design. And I was like, all right, like I didn't go by anything at that time. I was just Lucas Riley. And I was like, all right, I'm put the Gravity Renegade on this t-shirt. And I did it. And from there I was like, all right, it's official. I'm the Gravity Renegade. And then I just stuck with it.
Have people like come up to you and like live show, which is something that, or contact you, be like, hey, can you do the Renegade for real? Or is that like not?
Oh, no,
They
no.
contact you?
No. Definitely not.
No.
I mean, I probably could, but
I
not.
don't know. So you started your professional training and in your career in your mid-teens. What was something that you've done or like learned or trained that kind of helped you, deal with audiences at a young age? Because I know you started obviously you started before the pandemic hit, so there must have been crowds that you've, had to deal with, like, oh, everyone's cheering for me, all that.
So when I got into high school, I I had like I was like, okay, like I would like to get into wrestling. So right as I got into high school, I was like, I'm gonna take theater. I'm gonna take theater so that
That's
way
smart.
I'm
A lot of people
already
do
in
that.
front of,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm already in front of crowds. I'm already like playing a character, and might as well mess up here than wrestling.
Yeah.
So I took theater for basically my whole high school like career, I guess you could say. High
Yeah.
school time, I don't know what to call it. But I took theater, and I honestly loved it. I loved like performing in front of a crowd. So then once I debuted when I was in my senior year or my junior year. No, it was my junior year of high school. Junior,
What year
yeah,
was it?
yeah, yeah.
What
I
year?
started I no no I started training on my junior year. I
Okay.
debuted in my senior year. Um, so by the time I debuted, obviously I was still very nervous.
Yeah.
Obviously it's something new, but I was more comfortable like being in front of a crowd than if I didn't take theater. So that really helped me, to be honest. So yeah, I would say theater really helped me with the as far as the crowd.
Because that's mostly improv, right? Like that's mostly improv stuff, kind
Yeah.
of. Did they help you with your
Quick,
promos more, or was training more helping with the promos?
um, I would just say like repetition. Obviously, I'm sure theater helped me.
Yeah.
Kind of like deliver lines like the right way.
Yeah.
Even when
Yeah.
I did start training, though, theater and promos are very different. Like
Yeah. That is
theater,
true.
like I know what character I'm supposed to play, how I'm supposed to like, and I rehearse the same thing over and over and over. In theater with promos, you have to kind of do it. I still kind of struggled with promos, as I still think I do today. But I started rambling. What was your question? I'm
No, because
sorry.
there was like it was improv and like and theater help you with
Oh
like
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
yeah
I mean, even with wrestling, because a lot of times you're improving in a match.
yeah
So like you're always like on your toes, always having to change things, and sometimes that's how it is in theater too. Sometimes someone misses a line or forgets a line, and you have to keep going because there's a crowd. You can't just
yeah.
stop and then be like, "Hey, your
Like
line is
wait,
this."
yeah.
You have to just keep going. You have to keep flowing, and that's kind of how it is with wrestling too.
I know you and Jake Atlas have teamed in the Indies before he went to NXT.
Mhm.
You formed a team called Aerial Instinct.
Yeah.
The name for okay. So how did you and Jake meet?
Um.
Get to become a
So
team.
we met through Santino Bros Wrestling Academy. He started before me, like maybe he was in the class with Brody King,
Okay.
and in their class, in their training, Jake Atlas, he actually hurt himself during
Oh,
training, and he was out for a little while. And while he was out, my class started, and I kind of just started to train. And once I got into like the advanced class, because there's like a couple of different classes with Santino Bros. It's beginners, intermediate, advanced, and
yeah.
semi-pro. And when I was in the advanced class, that's when he came back,
Ah,
and I was like, "Wait, who's this guy?" Like, because like he was really good. Obviously, like he
yeah.
already had his training, and it was just a new guy coming up, and he was really good. And we kind of started to like kind of compete with each other, like because he
Yeah.
was like I would do all this like aerial type stuff in training, and he would do it too. So like we would kind of like try to outdo each other, like low key, but it was just like a friendly competitiveness kind of. And then he was always around, and we just started talking, and then it kind of just built from there. A friendship kind of built from there, and the way the tag team formed is we would go to a Championship Wrestling from Hollywood TV show, obviously based in California, and from there, like, we wanted to become a tag team. Like, we had the gear, and we wanted to pitch doing a tag team at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and we did. And then eventually we just started teaming at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and then a bunch of different other places. And yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, really cool.
What are your thoughts on Atlas thriving on NXT at the moment?
It's awesome. I love it. He's one of my close friends. I'm always still texting him to this day, giving me feedback, what I need to work on, stuff like that. And yeah, I love it because, you love to see your friends thrive and do awesome things like that.
Yeah. Have you two ever discussed possibly reuniting in the future whenever you two cross paths again, or is that something that's not been brought up yet?
It hasn't been brought up, but I'm sure if we were to bring it up, we both would be up for it. However, one thing is I never had a one-on-one match with him, never like in front of a crowd. We've had a lot of one-on-one training matches. We had a tryout somewhere at another company where we got to wrestle there, and it was really, really fun. So I would love to have that one-on-one match whenever our paths cross again. That one-on-one match definitely needs to happen sometime.
Yeah. So that was part of another question, but if you and who is one wrestler other than Jake that you would want to go one-on-one with, that you've always wanted to go one-on-one with, that you never had the chance to or want to in the future?
There's a few, but right away, like when you mentioned that, someone that I would love to wrestle is Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal, yes. I think would be a really, really cool match. He's someone that I watch a lot. So I think, and I study a lot, and try to implement like the stuff that he would do into my matches. So I think wrestling Matt Sydal would be really, really cool. I would love to wrestle Matt Sydal. Yeah, Matt Sydal would be really cool.
If you and Jake were to reunite, who would be a tag team that you two would want to go up against?
Ooh, a tag team. Dang, that's a good one. I think
Matt and Mike Sydal.
Hey, yeah,
potentially. There you go.
How about Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus would be really cool. I would love to wrestle them. That would be cool. You got Top Flight would be really cool.
Oh yes.
There's a lot of tag teams. Obviously, the Young Bucks would be really cool. Anyone and everyone, to be honest. I don't think we got to be a tag team for too long, so I think we would be up for anyone. There's a lot of tag teams in the game right now that I'd love to wrestle.
Yeah. So before the pandemic hit last year, you won the Survive the Night tournament as part of Centennial Bros. Yes. Even though it wasn't for a championship, it was still a trophy that you won. So, growing up, like, what was like, you obviously dreamed about winning stuff like this. How did it feel getting like a trophy and winning that for the first time in your career?
That was awesome. Like, it's probably my favorite wrestling moment to this day. It was awesome. Like, just that feeling exactly. As soon as I won the match, the finals, it was just super surreal that like I'm in this moment. Like, I would watch people do stuff like this, and now I'm in this moment.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. It's, like I said, it's my favorite moments so far. And very thankful for the Survive the Night tournament. And it's awesome.
I know you've also that was the last match you competed in before the pandemic hit, right? Was that your last
Yes,
match?
it was.
How hard was it to get back into wrestling since the pandemic hit since?
It was kind of like a slow build, to be honest, because even before the pandemic hit, I came up with an injury that would sideline me before the pandemic hit. So I had to survive the night tournament, and I was actually supposed to wrestle another match before everything shut down, but I ended up getting an injury where I had to call out of the match, and that really sucked. But then the pandemic happened, so then I kind of didn't miss much. Um, Coming back, it was like a slow build because I didn't want to. I had an injury at my leg, at like my ankle area, and I coming back, I didn't want to like rehurt
Rush it.
myself. So it was I didn't want to rush it. When I was good, I just started to train myself, try to get in better shape than I was before the pandemic. One thing of mine is just trying to get bigger, because I think that was been something that was really, really holding me back for a long time, was my slender, thighs. So that was something that I was really trying to do. Even while I was on the injured, I was trying to stay in shape and grow from last that you've seen me. But getting back in the ring was awesome, obviously. While still in the pandemic, I would train wherever I would be able to have a ring, obviously with masks and a negative COVID test, but it was worth it. I would do whatever it took to get into a ring and to slowly start to build those blocks again and get back to where I was.
Was there anything during the quarantine and besides your injury that you kind of picked up as like a hobby in a way? I feel like a lot of people has picked up something during quarantine that they kind of done, or something that you've done differently, like watch a new show, anything.
For me, is I really got into like vlogging and stuff like that. I got a new camera. I always loved YouTube. Like I always loved doing it. I even before wrestling, I was doing YouTube. So during the pandemic, I got a new
which
camera.
everyone should subscribe to, by the way. I'll leave your YouTube channel below.
Exactly, 100%.
I'm subscribed to it.
Hey, see, there you go.
Exactly.
If you're subscribed, the viewers should be subscribed too.
Exactly.
But YouTube has just been really like fun for me. It's been a fun hobby for me. So during the pandemic, I would just always just like try to learn new like editing or stuff like that, new equipment. So that I would just say kind of just like upping my YouTube kind of game.
Yeah.
What I guess would be the hobby. Other than that, just chilling. I started a vinyl collection.
Oh, that's cool.
Figures. I'm a big nerd. I love collecting figures, wrestling figures, Marvel.
So I know wrestling is pretty big, also wrestling and vlogging too. A lot of people are now vlogging, I've noticed, in wrestling. Who is your favorite wrestling vlogger? Who do you follow the vlogs most?
I mean, something that I watch always is Being the Elite. Being the Elite is always really good.
Same here.
I guess I would say that. But before they even started doing Being the Elite, I would love watching wrestling YouTubers such as like Stevie Breach or Assault and Battery. Those guys were great. I would always watch them. Them just going to wrestling shows, just having fun, there was this YouTuber that actually inspired me to start making videos. His name was Mr. Wrestling 1980, and he had like the most amazing wrestling collection, and I was like, dang, this is awesome. So I guess that.
Were you a fan of Matt Cardona's, Zack Ryder's stuff that you used to do?
100%. Yeah, for sure. I love Matt Cardona. He's he's awesome.
He has like a whole wrestling figure with why am I forgetting his name? Oh, his tag partner. Why am I forgetting his name?
Hawkins.
Yes, Kurt Hawkins. But I don't know. I forgot. Brian Myers. Yes, Brian Myers. So yeah,
Yeah.
they have a whole wrestling collection.
Yeah. I watched. I listen to their podcast. I listen to their podcast every once in a while. And yeah, his toy collection is top notch.
Elite. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. No pun intended.
Yeah. When can we see a Lucas Riley vlog return?
I'm actually working on one right now. So I guess
Am I in it? Am I in it? am I in it? No.
Well, not right now, but I
yeah.
mean, you could be.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. So that was my last question. So I guess we can get straight into the questions that we got from the followers. We only have 5, but we can get to them anyways.
Okay, cool.
So the first question is from the guys over at the Dirty Heels podcast. How do you get prepared for a match?
I mean, right before a match, obviously stretch. Now I got the resistance bands, obviously. I got that now. So and really just like getting in the zone. I put my phone away. I don't like to be on my phone. And just keep stretching, stay loose. I don't want to get hurt in there. And then right before my entrance, it's something I always do. Right before my entrance, when I hear my music start, I always kind of let out a couple yells. Like I just yell. I just get it out.
Yeah,
so yeah, I don't want to go out there and just be like, hey.
Yeah. The adrenaline get loose.
Yeah, exactly. I just let out a couple yells, and then I just go in full send, and yeah, that's it. That's what I do. And drink water. Obviously, drink water. I don't want to dehydrate.
And then stretching is obviously the most important part of that.
It's key. It's key. 100%. Yeah. Do a couple push-ups.
Always got to get that stretch in before. So the next question is from Battle from the Battleground podcast. Where is the weirdest place you've wrestled?
I guess like in someone's backyard. I guess. Santino Bros do like birthday parties. So sometimes they would like do like you could literally rent the ring and put it in your backyard for your birthday party.
Oh, that's cool.
And we'll do a show for you. So I would say like a backyard, I guess. I'm trying to think anywhere else that was pretty bizarre, but I think that tops the chart, to be honest.
Was it like a random house? Like a random house?
Yeah, it was just a random house. It was just a random house, and we just wrestled in their backyard. And that's not uncommon. Like I've done it like twice or 3 times, and those shows are fun though. They're fun.
Yeah. So the next question is from Derek from the Rap and Wrestle podcast. What is your goal with wrestling, and what separates Lucas Riley from the rest of the competition?
So my goal for wrestling is just make it enough to build a career off of. This is all I want, really.
Yeah.
Without this, I don't know what else I would do, really. What else I would want to do. So I just want to make it to like build a career off of it, and do the things that I would look up to as a kid. I have my own goals. Like eventually I want my own action figure. I want to do all the stuff that I did as a kid for other kids.
Yeah.
And then what separates me from the others? What separates me from the others is that I'm me. No one could be Lucas Riley. No one could be the person I am. So, I mean, that is plain and simple.
There's only one Lucas Riley.
There's only one Lucas Riley. I cannot be replicated. And straight up, that's it.
That was a cool answer. Great answer. The next question is from @Review Geek 3000. If there is any wrestler currently you would want to have a dream match with, who would it be and why? I know we already talked about it before. Edge for sure. Yeah.
Edge. A dream match, definitely be Edge. I saw him. He just came out of retirement. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. And
better shape than he was before.
100%. He's great. Yeah. He's someone that I always hated as a kid.
Yeah.
And then growing up, I was like, yo, like he's low key the man, Yeah, that would be awesome. That would definitely be a dream match for me to be able to wrestle Edge. Yeah.
What were you doing the night he returned last year in the Royal Rumble? What was your
Oh,
reaction to
I was at my house, and I heard the rumors. So I was even rocking the Edge T-shirt. I was just like, all right, like if this actually happens, like I didn't want to believe it because like
Yeah.
with wrestling, you can't like it's obviously say never, but you can't like don't expect it to happen until it actually happens.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, if this actually happens, like, and as soon as I heard the music, I popped up and I was like, oh my God, this is insane. But yeah.
All right, so the
was
last question. Oh, definitely a great moment. I
Yeah,
remember
for sure.
jumping out of my chair and like screaming because like you said, no one believed that it was
Super
gonna
awesome.
happen. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So that
I
was
thought it was it. Yeah.
yeah, one of the greatest returns that we could possibly have seen late. So it was awesome to see him back and still killing it.
For sure.
So the last question actually comes from my co-host Joel, who
Okay.
is I don't know if it's gonna be the same answer, but
Uh-huh.
who is a wrestler that you've always thought was underappreciated?
Appreciated. Ooh, this is a good one. It's got me thinking.
Okay, he always asks great questions. He has a great question.
Huh. The first person to come to mind, and I feel like once I say this, and like once we go off, I'm gonna keep thinking about this, and someone else is gonna come to mind. But right off the gate, like I'm thinking Evan Bourne, like Evan Bourne,
Yeah.
not Matt Sydal. Evan Bourne, like I think he could have done more in the company when he was there. But dang, this is a good question. But I guess I'm gonna stick to Evan Bourne right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watching him, I was like, oh, like this is sick,
He's always
And
been
I
a
was-
fan favorite of mine too. Like that moment where he did that RKO with Randy.
Oh yeah, that
was
was
a classic
great.
moment.
That was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yes,
But,
he was also a favorite of mine too.
So I guess I'm gonna go with Evan Bourne. More is gonna come to mind as I keep thinking about this question, but for now, Evan Bourne. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So that was the last fan question, the last question in general for the day. Thank you, Lucas, for
Awesome.
coming on the podcast. I really
for
appreciate
having
you
me,
coming
man.
on. Great conversation,
you.
great time. Hope
Awesome.
to have you back on. I'll definitely link your YouTube channel in the description and your social
Awesome.
media so people can follow you.
Perfect.
Again, this is episode number 41 of the Ring Fanatics Podcast. Lucas Riley with me, and I'm Nick, your host, and we'll see you guys next time.